Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Today we are going to discuss about the life cycle of puccinia. So we can write here life cycle of puccinia. So when we talk about the life cycle of puccinia, actually it consists of 5 stages. So you can mention here it consists of 5 stages. So firstly we have to write what are actually the stages which are involved in the life cycle of puccinia. So first stage in the life cycle of puccinia is known as uridineal stage. Uridineal stage. Uridineal stage is actually the first stage which is involved in the life cycle of puccinia. The second stage in the life cycle of puccinia is known as thallial stage. Thallial stage. The third stage in the life cycle of puccinia is known as basidial stage. Basidial stage. Fourth stage which is involved in the life cycle is known as pycnial stage. Pycnial stage, and the fifth and last one stage in the life cycle of puccinia is known as asexual stage. Asexual stage. So we will discuss one by one, but in this lecture we will try to focus on first two stages, the uridineal stage and thallial stage actually. So we can write here about the first stage which is known as uridineal stage. Uridineal stage. So when we talk about this stage, actually this is the first stage and it caused the infection during the march. It means we know that puccinia is the parasitic fungus of wheat, so it caused the infection in the wheat plant during the March month. So we can write here it infect the wheat plant. It infect wheat plant during March, during the month of March. So how this fungus infect the wheat plant on the season or in the March? Actually it make a stalk-like structures in the stem of the wheat. How the stalk-like structure in the stem of the wheat develop, we can explain with the help of a diagram actually. For example, this one is the stem of the wheat plant and this is the epidermis or outermost covering of the wheat plant stem, and these are actually the stalk-like structures which are developed by this fungus which is known as puccinia. These stalk-like structure produce the round structure on these stalks, and these stalk-like structure which are producing these round structure inside the stem of the wheat, these structures are known as sori, because these sori are involved in the formation of uridineal spore, so that's why it is known as uridosori. This is known as uridosori actually. And we can mention here, this is the stem of wheat plant, and this plant is infected by the puccinia through these stalks and uridosori during March, during the month of March. So what will happen when these sori are produced actually in the stem of the wheat plant? If we take one sori outside to understand better, so we can say that this one is a uridosori. So we can mention here this one is a uridosori. Actually, uridosori are those structures which contain the spores, and the spores which are produced inside the sori, these spores are known as uridospores. Actually, these are the spores, and these spores are present in each sori which is present at the stalk, and this fungus is infecting actually the stem of the wheat plant. So these are the uridospori. Actually, this one is a uridospori, and all these sori are known as uridosori, and each sori which is known as uridosori contain many number of spores inside it. These are actually the spores which are producing or which are produced inside the uridosori, and these spores are known as uridospores. These are known as uridospores. So what will happen when actually these uridospores are produced? So after their function, before their germination, I want to tell you some characteristics of these uridospores actually. These uridospores become thick-walled. These are thick-walled. It means they secrete a wall around it and become thick-walled. And these are globe-like. It means these are globose. These are globe-like. These are round. These are thick-walled. Thick-walled. And each uridospore contains two nuclei. So that's why you can say that these are binucleated. And each uridospore also have a small pore, and the small pore which is present in the uridospore is also known as germ pore. This is also known as germ pore. So these are some characteristics of these pores which are known as uridospores. So now we are going to discuss how these uridospores actually germinate to infect the plant leaves as well as some other parts of the wheat plant. So when this sori will burst, then these spores will expose to air, and air current actually disperse these spores. When these spores will disperse, and these spores which are actually known as uridospore, like this, actually these all are the uridospores. These uridospore will fall on the leaf of the healthy plant of wheat. So for example, this one is the surface of leaf of healthy plant of wheat. So we can write here, this is a leaf of healthy wheat plant. Healthy wheat plant. So what will happen? When these spores will fall on the surface of the leaf of wheat plant, then they will start germinating and produce a germ tube. So this is the surface of wheat plant. Surface of leaf of wheat plant. This is uridospore, and on germination, this is a germ tube. This one is a germ tube. So what will happen? This germ tube is formed from the uridospore. So for example, This one is the leaf surface and this is whole area of leaf. And this one is the uridospore. This one is a germ tube, and keep in mind that this germ tube will increase in the length. But one thing which is very important to understand is that leaf surface also have stomata. For example, this one is the whole body of stomata which are present in the leaf of the wheat plant. And this germ tube will increase in length up to the tip of this stomata. When this germ tube reach to this tip of this stomata, it becomes swell up. It becomes swell and increase in size. But keep in mind, this one is stomata. This one is the tip of stomata. This one is a germ tube. This one is a uridospore. And this is the swelling of this germ tube at the tip of this stomata. So we can write here, when this germ tube becomes swell at the tip of the stomata, then this swelling is known as aprisorium. So how this aprisorium will form? When the germ tube grow at the tip of the stomata, the cytoplasm of this and the nucleus of this will migrate into this swelling. And when the cytoplasm and nucleus will migrate into this swelling, now this swelling is known as aprisorium. This swelling is known as aprisorium actually. Now this is known as aprisorium. So what will happen? This aprisorium will produce fine tube inside this stomata. But when this aprisorium is formed, it cut all the connection with this spore, because now the genetic material as well as nuclei with cytoplasm are moved toward this aprisorium. So that's why this septum is developed, and due to presence or development of septum, now this portion is separated. Now aprisorium is connected to the apical or tip portion of this stomata. So when this aprisorium is formed, this aprisorium produce fine tubes, and these fine tubes are moving toward the chamber of the stomata, because this whole portion is the chamber of stomata. I can write here chamber of stomata. So what will happen? These chamber of the this aprisorium produce fine tubes inside the chamber of stomata. Now these become dikaryotic. When these become dikaryotic, now like this, these are dikaryotic tubes, and these tubes will swell up inside the stomata and become dikaryotic and swell up like vesicle. And these vesicles now start producing hyphae in all directions. So these are tubes, these are vesicles, and these are hyphae. These are hyphae. And these hyphae are now involved in the formation of haustoria. Actually, the haustoria are the extensions of the hyphae which are involved to absorb the food from the chamber of the stomata. And these chambers or haustoria inside the chamber of stomata are involved in the absorption of the food material from this chamber. So these hyphae will become dikaryotic, and these hyphae will again produce the uridospore, and these uridospore again will infect the other plants of the wheat. So this process will continue. So now we have discussed about the uridial stage in which uridios